Our Computex 2025 coverage is made possible by Corsair, Asus, Phanteks, G-Skill, Lee, Seasonic, Thermal Grizzly, Trix, Team Group, Antec, Pro Gamers Group, InWin, BitsPower, Be Quiet, Cable Mod, and Cougar. What's going on, guys? It is Computex Day 2 and we are at the Pro Gamers Group booth. Now this thing is absolutely huge. They manage a lot of brands. So as you can see in the back here, I'll be focusing mainly on the US market. They manage brands like HAVN, APNX, Aerocool, the Noble chairs, Ducky, Endgame Gear. We'll be checking out all of those from their cases, the chairs and so on. So let's get started. First off, we have the HAVN BF360 now. We all know HAVN recently came out with the very impressive HS420. That was mid last year, I think, towards the end. I did a review, I did a build. Also did a build for CES for them for that one, but this is the BF360. Similar overall design with the elements for that, but it's a little bit smaller all round. I'll take this off. I always like to start with this side panel on, just so you can see how it comes off. So that flips down from the top, and then there is a little groove where it slits into the bottom. Get that on the ground so it doesn't fall. So this chassis comes in both black and white, though there are some really cool features. Now, we all know the HS420 previously from HAVN was all about airflow. Had the airflow duct at the bottom. They had the two versions, the dedicated GPU vertical version for your vertical GPU, and then a non one. So this one still keeps a similar ducting system. I wouldn't say similar, it's more for most universal GPUs, if your GPU is like this, but it does have a bottom duct, kind of like a bit of a half pipe or something. So when these fans go in, it's going to shoot up straight into the GPU. Now, moving back onto the external aesthetic, I really like the front panel design here. It's like a stone finish. On the black, it's a little bit darker. On the white model, it is a little bit lighter, I believe. On the white model, it looks a little bit more like concrete. It is all plastic, but it feels like a very, very premium material. Now, when it comes to the front panel mesh, the guys are telling me there's a bit of a golden rule, or they've sort of hit the golden jackpot when it comes to the air intake ratio. The length and the depth has to equal 6. So that's what they've gone here with this gap, and that is the optimum for air intake. If you go any higher, any lower, the performance won't be as good. So I'll just put this around the back. More inside with the fans. I'm not sure if these fans are going to be included with this actual chassis. They might, because I think the HS1 actually, the HS420 didn't come with fans, but I think they might be pushing these fans included with this. If not, they do have them separately, which we'll talk about in a second. So this case has the 4 180s, not so much this one has 2, but the white one over there has the 4. It has 2 in the front and then 2 at the top for the 180s, and they are 40 millimeters thick. They're also bringing out 140s and 120s as well. I'll get some shots around the back. I will actually talk about the back now, but it's going to probably be a bit weird. I'll just talk about the back and I'll just cover it all with B-roll so we just don't have to move around. Now, we all know the HS420 had those really nice cable management guides around the back of the motherboard. They had those arrows to show you where your cables went to. They were different colors like green, orange, and yellow. They've still got that on this chassis. They've kind of toned down the colors of those so they're not so bright, but they do have the cable routing. And the interesting way they did the 24-pin cable routing, where they had those sort of rubber slots, they've got that again in this case. It's slightly redesigned, a little bit different. They've improved on it a bit from the previous HS420. But yeah, that's pretty much it on this one. Very similar design element. 2 USB, 1 Type-C, nice and clean. I like the little indented power button. And of course, you've got this really nice panel that just pops off. You've got that little handle like this. And then the top is just actually a single black. I wonder what your thoughts if they should have continued that stone finish from the front all the way to the top. But I kind of like it how it's just the front has the two-tone finish, and then the rest of the chassis is either black or the white. And then of course, because the 180mm fans don't go all the way to the top, there is a bit of a blanking plate, because we all know if you do have some gaps, it will affect the airflow and the performance. But they went with the 180s because they actually fill the case perfectly. They fill in the front, they fill in the top, so that'll get you the best performance. So I mentioned the fans in the BF360 before. So this is their new H series fans. They have 120s, 140s, and this monster 40mm thick 180. So some specifics on this. I'll get some close-ups of the spec cards because they do have some good information. They're a 30% glass fiber reinforced design. They're not the LCP, but they do feel really nice. Apparently they're very, very strong, very minimal flex. Now another design element on here, I'll get a close up. The actual hub has a bit of some curvature sort of slots in it, and that is meant to also help the air intake for that, and it also makes it a little bit quieter as well. Now things like performance on these, they don't have anything here at the moment. They did show me some on one of their phones. CFM was something like 70 on the 120, 80 on the 140, and a whopping 164 CFM on the 180. Static pressure is best on the 120, and people may think that, well, the larger the fan, it should have better static pressure, but that's not normally the case. I think these two are similar. The 140 was a little bit less, and then I think the 180 was a little bit less again. Now, I really like the way how they've done the cable sleeving on these. It actually has this loop design, so I can actually pull this cable out of here, and not many brands do it, so you can actually fit something in between the frame where you screw the fan down. So you can daisy chain these together, but they don't look like daisy chainable fans. So you just keep on looping them together, and when they're actually looped together, like in like a radiator spot, a 360 fan spot on a radiator, they actually loop in and out of each other from the sides. So that's just a cool little technique they've done that to actually make them daisy chainable, but they're not really. So they don't connect together via daisy chainable. Physically, they just connect via the cable. And of course, they come in the black and the white, which I think is good. No RGB. I think HAVN is more focusing on performance, airflow, things like sound and all of that. All their cases don't really have any, I don't think their cases have any RGB, so it kind of replicates over onto their fans that they're purely focusing on performance. And then we also have the rubber dampening on each of the ends as well for when you screw the fan down. Moving on to some APNX gear. Now I've covered some of their cases before. They previously had the APNX V1. This is the V2. So this is the, I wouldn't say exploded version, but this is the side panel less version. They've taken all the side panels off, and this is the with it all on. So as you can see, glass on the side, the top and the front. We've seen similar designs from other companies before. They don't have a sort of a straight 90, a point on the end. They've got this angled bit here, and this also acts as a bracket inside as well, because you can't have 3 contacts of glass all come into one corner without any support. So I'll take this off now that we've seen what it looks like. There is a clip to keep that in. So that's off there. These, I think this one has a clip that you can push off. Yes, you can. Okay, so the top one comes off like that. There may be some more around the side, but that one comes off, and then the front one is the one that is actually screwed into this point, and that's what keeps it all in place. So inside, we have some pretty cool features. I might actually look at this one here, or I'll get you guys to look at this one so we can see some of the design implementations and how they've gone with this. So fans at the bottom, dual chamber design. The PSU goes directly behind the motherboard because it supports back connect motherboard. So when we have back connect motherboard support, you always have to have the PSU clear the top. The PSU has to clear the bottom. So you can't have it either top or bottom because cables need to clear if you're using a back connect motherboard. So that's why it goes directly behind the back there. Just that means if you do need to get to the back of your motherboard for like your air cooler or your CPU cooler, if it has a backplate, you may need to remove your power supply. Another cool feature is this whole bottom area. I'll do it on this one. It's going to be impossible to take it out on that one because of the GPU. Take this out. It's got magnets. That's why it keeps on sticking. Take this out, and this is just I'd say it's an aesthetic cover. It doesn't really do anything for performance or so on. And then we actually have 3 140mm fans down the bottom. So that's pretty cool. Plenty of air intake. Obviously, if you're running a radiator down the bottom for maybe a custom loop, you would not be able to use this because that just covers the fans. And then the aesthetic of this, if I put this back like that, the aesthetic of that actually runs up along the side, the front, and then the top. And this just purely acts as an aesthetic piece. 360 on the back side, no air take in the front because, as I said earlier, it's solid glass. 360 on the side, and it would be 360 along the top. Now, this spot here is shared. So as you can see in this build here, they've got, actually it seems to be 420 worth of fans. I don't think a radiator would fit. So it's 3 by 140mm fans on the side, and then the 120 along the top. So I think what you could do, you could either do 3 fans on the side or 3 fans along the top if you're going with the radiator. They have a 240 in this one and 3 140mm fans. I can't see why you couldn't do a 360 along the top and then fill the bottom with, say, 2 fans. But I don't think you could get 2 360 worth of either radiators or fans. It's just the way how it's done for this chassis. Around the back, I will look at around the back on this one here. And I'll just throw some B-roll on so we can see. Around the back is looking a little bit tight. We do get a better view of those 2 fan and radiator spots when we look at the back. As I said, PSU goes down. Actually, on this one, PSU is down the bottom. So one thing they've done with this, if I look around the back, they've got 2 PSU locations. So I actually didn't see that now until I've looked around here. So 2 PSU locations. If you're not using back connect motherboard, you can then move the PSU down into the bottom slot. That gives you clearance behind the motherboard. If you are using back connect motherboard, you will need to move that PSU up into the middle or the top spot to clear all of those connectors. And then pretty much all the rest is for cable management around the back. Can't really see too much in there. If I can have a look in this one, that one is jam-packed to cables. This one also has a PSU in there and also heaps of cables, so I can't really see inside this one as well to see how their cable routing channels is done. It makes it a little bit complex to see in there. And then you have that hard drive cage down the bottom. No doubt that'll take SSDs, hard drives, and that'll be swappable with the PSU location. Now, moving over to the one on your left, which is my right, this is the same version, but I think this is the F. So the V2F is for airflow, I believe, something like that. This one actually unscrews like this. So this just pops off like that. It doesn't slide. At first I thought it slid. That just pops off. I'll actually put this down on the ground. And then this now slides off. So it is a little bit different than the other one we just looked at, the non-airflow version. So the main differences in this is obviously it doesn't have the top glass. So now they've designed it a little bit differently. You don't have that corner segment over here. It's just mesh at the top, but everything inside is the same still. Still have this cover that I can probably lift up. Actually, I can't lift this up because it's under this tab, but they still have that nice aesthetic cover piece, and then all the rest is exactly the same. Still on the APNX gear, we have these interesting all-in-one coolers. We have the LC1D360, LC1D240. 360s here, black and white, 240s, black and white. Now what's interesting that APNX are doing to a lot of other companies is the difference here is, of course, there's a screen. A lot of them are doing screens, but this one articulates all the way around like this, so you can angle it on different directions. I don't think there's any other brands where you can move the screen around. A lot of them are normally in a static position, so you might be thinking in a case, well, I don't really care to move it, but it just gives you that flexibility that if your case is on an angle, so if you're sitting at your PC, your case is on an angle like this, you might need to tilt it like that. Or I'm thinking of areas where you're using a case that is in an inverted layout or a 90-degree motherboard rotation. I don't know how far I can go. Actually, it's actually on a ball joint, so I can just keep on going because the screen is actually connected down the bottom. So I can just keep on going in any direction, upside down. And also, if you are on a test bench as well, in a really funky case that isn't even a case, an open bench, an open frame chassis, that just gives you that flexibility on getting that screen to the right angle you may need. Now, it's 4-inch IPS. I don't know the resolution, it doesn't have it. The internal pump design is it's based on the Appletech design. Apparently they've designed a new one based off that one, so it should be pretty good. And then we have the 240 and the 360, which I mentioned. Just looks like a standard radiator. I would say that's 27 millimeters thick, which is pretty much standard for all-in-one coolers. And of course, with the software, which is on the laptop, I'll get some close-ups on that. We won't go into that. You can add things like JPEGs, images. We've got some basic sensor panels on here they've done. The speed of the CPU, the GPU temp, CPU temp, some backgrounds. This one looks pretty cool. For me, when it comes to sensor panels on screens, I like just the simple ones that get the job done, show you the right information you need, and that's it. But it looks like you can do all that fancy stuff, put the GIFs on there, moving images, and so on. Looking at some Aerocool gear now, or I should say Aerocool cases, the brands just keep on coming here at this booth. We have the P500B-Digi, so that comes in a black and white. I looked at some Aerocool at CS. These are a different version. Now, the Digi basically means there is a digital display. If I can spin this around without breaking something, You can see there the little matrix display. Now that's pretty clean. I do like that. It's not sticking right out there. It's not right out in the front. Now in terms of controlling this, I'm assuming you would just run it into a specific software they have. Obviously, you can do this to anything you want. It's just a matrix display, so it'll just be those dots to whatever you make. You probably can't send things like images and that to it because it needs to be able to sort of form into that display. Some other specs on it. Let me take the side panel off. So they're calling it a pixel display, so it can show the time, CPU, GPU temperature. I'm having a look at that one's showing the time. So they're both saying the time. It'll be interesting to see how far it goes. I'm pretty sure I can just see an outline. It's literally just this long. So it just shows CPU, GPU temperature, a few other things you can probably throw on. Now, some features inside here, back and neck support. I said in, I think a lot of my videos, nearly every case that I'm getting to review, every case we're seeing here is pushing for that back and neck support, which is always good to see. We have 3 fans down the bottom, 120, 3 120s at the side, and then for the top, we also have 3 120s as well. Just a clean, simple case, nice and smart all around. We have clear glass panels for the white, a slight tint on the black, and we can also see in the black one now, I'll get some B-roll of that all-in-one cooler that I just covered before from APNX. In this case, it seems weird because it's a different brand all-in-one cooler in this case, but you can see how the angles work by moving that around to get that display just right. And it does look like this P500B-Digi has a vertical GPU support for that as well, which is good to see. Then I won't cover the cases behind these ones, but there are some more over there. They are the D520A. They are a more trimmed down version of this one. It just doesn't have the display on the front, so it's going to be a little bit more cost effective, and then it just has a slightly different design than this one. Then on the I/O is quite interesting. Obviously being on the front, they couldn't do it because of that display. They got dual USB Type A, your Type C, power reset, and then your combo. And I do like how the USB ports are white that blend in to the case as well. Now we covered some Thunder X3 chairs at CES earlier this year. Now there's 2 here I want to look at which are new. Now this one is more sort of cost effective what they're doing from Thunder X3. This is the Solo 360 Loft Air. It's got a full mesh design. It's all molded foam. It's not cut in, so it's going to have a really nice comfy feel. This goes up and down. I'm going to try and do this with one hand, up and down like that, and it's going to come in at $129 US, which is pretty cheap. Now, some other cool aspects on this, which is on the other chair we're going to look at. Now, the other chair I think is an absolute beast, but it's in a completely different category to this one. This one has things like full 360-degree armrests. They tilt in, they tilt out. Of course, they go up and down and all that. I won't spend too much time on this one, but this one doesn't have the lever to go back. So what Thunder X3 are doing, a lot of their chairs now are sort of auto-adjusting to the user themselves. So what I can do is I can go down. I'll get some other B-roll as well. When I just rock back, that's it. It just tailors towards you. So when I'm gaming, I normally like to set or on a standard chair, I normally set the lever. You got to do the other lever to unlock the back. Then when I sit back, I normally need to click it into the right spot. But this one just sits where I want, no matter which angle. It doesn't lock in, it just knows my weight and it just sits there. Whereas normally on another chair, you need to sort of lock it, go back a bit, lock it, and it'll stay in that spot. So that's pretty sweet. So enough on that one. I want to move over to this one here. This is a full ergonomic chair. I'll just get the tag. It's the Flex Pro. It's mesh. It's got a footrest. Now, this has a lot of, wouldn't say self-moving parts, but auto-adjusting. They're probably spring-loaded. So for the top here, the top goes up and down. Now you might be running, well, why does that need to go up and down? Well, when you lean back, your head is going to move or shift. So this will contour or move to when you lie down. The back also pushes in, like, it's going to be hard like this. So that pushes in. And then the sides also push in, the backrest for your lumbar. And then the very back, I'll get some B-roll on this, also pushes in. So when I sit down now, this will probably give you the best shot. So this really, I've never sat on a chair like this before. I've had ergonomic chairs, but none that has these sort of plates that contour your back. So now when you see me go down, I can feel the back slightly pushing in. Then when my head goes down, this might be slightly adjusting, whether it's going up or down as I lie down. So I've never been on a chair that does that. Most of the time, everything is all manual when you want to rock back. This does it all itself. Now, it might not be for everyone, but for me, I know I'm not very heavy. I don't know how it's going to be for all the weight classes, but for me, I'm not just saying this feels really good because I'm doing this video. It actually does feel really good. Now, the armrests are pretty insane. I need to do this sitting down because it's hard to do all the armrests standing outside the chair with one hand because of this microphone. It does have the full 360 like this. So you can tilt it in like this, tilt it in like this. The engineer behind this was saying that sometimes he likes to use it like this at a desk. You can get a little bit closer. If for some reason your desk height is exactly the same as your arm rest height, I had that sometimes. I go into a desk and I just bump this into the side. You can spin this sideways. I know people who don't even like armrests on chairs, but that's pretty sweet how you can spin that around. It can also, I'm just trying to work out all of these controls. Can tilt it up like this. So if you're relaxing, consolers, you do this one up, you do this one up. It's perfect for when you're using a console. Then you can also go forwards and back like that, which a lot of others can do. And then when you do it forwards and back, you can go closer. So you can get that movement. You can see that it is literally spinning to any direction you want, and I've never seen one. The only thing it doesn't do is sort of shift this way and that way, but if you needed to go further in, you can just spin it around and you can drag it like this way, like this way. It's pretty insane how much this can actually move. So this is more of the manual area on this. The back is more of the auto adjusting areas. Now when I slide this out, you might be wondering what's going on here. Slide this out, spin this around. This is for full relaxation mode. You can lean it back and then you can put your footrest or your feet on the footrest. I apologize if my shoes are dirty. You can sit back like this and you are in full relaxation mode, and that feels really, really comfy. So pretty insane. I don't know the price on this one. If I do, I'll throw it up in the description or throw it in the video so you guys can see. But yeah, just something a little bit different that's coming out of, I would say, more a gaming brand, that they're moving into the ergonomics for these chairs. And like, I wouldn't say they're just throwing everything at it to just do a chair. It actually seems like there's been a bit of research, and the engineer behind it was explaining to me how he sort of got around to doing this design, bringing up with some of these ideas and so on. But yeah, really interesting chair. And there's one more thing around the back. We'll get a shot around the back here. I will add B-roll. Of course, there are some adjustments. You can physically adjust this up and down. That's not automatic. And then there is a knob here to adjust the tension. And then around the back, I was like, what are these things? These are to hang your coat. Maybe not for everyone, but it's just a feature that is added there. And if you don't use it, it's not going to be an issue. Taking a look at some Ducky keyboards now. Two here on display, these two at the front. I'll move this one to the back a bit. This is their new Cushion 98. So quite a bit has gone into the design on these. Now these are very early prototype samples, so if something doesn't look right, it's probably going to be rectified. Now we can see over here everything that goes into these keyboards. We have an aluminum cover, we have the keys itself. This is just a mock-up. Then we have another damping layer, the rubber bottom, and then we have the base plate. So something's interesting with this one is I'll do it with one hand, unplug the cable. So magnets on the front, and it's got pushing clips on the back. That's the aluminum cover. Take that off. Now we can fully get access to the rest of the keyboard. So it's a cushion mount. It's not a gasket mount. The reason why they went down with the cushion mount is on this one over here, you get even pressure throughout the whole keyboard. So on a gasket mount, the gaskets are in different areas. Normally when you're pressing one key, it's going to be different to somewhere else. So it has an even pressure throughout the whole keyboard. So two different cushions will be provided, so you can get that dampness to be either soft or hard throughout the whole keyboard. Now some other interesting areas is it is a 98% keyboard. So 98, as this one here is like a 65 or 75, so you can see it's the same size, but this one over here is missing all of the numpad. So basically all you're missing here are two keys. I'm not sure which ones. You're missing a Windows key over here, and there's probably another key you're missing over there. So it's a very, very dense keyboard, and it is not wireless. It's just going to be, actually, sorry, it is wireless. I'll say it again. And it is wireless. On the back here, we have the standard Bluetooth wireless, and then the physical cable connection over there. Now for the switches, it's running Ducky's own in-house shush switches, SHUSH, I believe, for that. It is standard. They said it was 3-pin, they believe. It might be 5-pin, but they are south, facing mount switches for that. So if you don't want either of these, they will come in linear or tactile. This one here is the more silent linear, and this one over here is tactile. So I think it's pretty sweet that you can actually get more of a hot swap keyboard. You can dismantle it, you don't need any screws, anything like that. I'll try and put this back on one hand, and then that clips in like that. So that's back together how it was, ready to go. And then, as I said, hot swap switches, you can replace all those with your preferred one. Over here, we're looking at the Endgame Gear products. Just a few here, two mice, which are very similar, and then their updated keyboard. So the two mice here, the XM2 wireless, the OP1 wireless, they're both 4K, and they are the V2 iteration of these. So very similar design in the shape. I'll get some top-down shots so you can see. Most of the hardware inside is the same, but the main difference with this smaller one is it's actually designed to be opened up and customized. There's two screws there. The switches are separated, they're on their own PCB, so you can get different switches from them, or you could probably get other aftermarket switches that work with the mouse, and you can change it to more silent ones, more tactile, louder ones. To me, I love swapping my keyboard switches, but I personally have never done it to a mouse. It might be something I might get into, see if it does make a difference, but for me, changing switches, I always stick to the keyboard. I've never done it to the mouse. So they actually do give you a screwdriver in the kit, so you can play around and do that yourself, whereas this one here is when you open, or when you turn it around and have a look, it is fully sealed. So these are wireless, 4K polling rate, and that's basically most of the specs there. Now, Endgame Gear have very good low latency. They're not really big on fancy RGB and all of that. They focus on performance. Now, moving on to this keyboard, I actually have one of these keyboards myself. I have the current model. This is the next model that should be coming out. It's the KB, obviously for keyboard, 65HE8K. So this is 8K polling rate for the keyboard. It's not wireless. The guys said here the reason why they haven't moved on to 4K or moved on to 8K polling rate for the wireless mouses, it's a bit of a gimmick for most of them, and then it also drains your battery much, much faster. So that's why they stuck to the 4K. 8K, if you're running the wide, you're not going to have to worry about batteries, so that's good. So that's why they've gone with that. And that's basically the main change between the previous models to this one. It's got the 8K. It does have the Hall effect switches in this one as well. Now, to wrap up this booth here, it's been a big one. There's been a lot of products. Lastly, I want to cover this Doom chair from Noble Chairs. Now, since that a lot of brands are focusing on Doom Dark Ages, I've seen cases. We, of course, have the ROG video card, that 5080. I think I've seen so many other Doom items, it's crazy. So this is based on the Noble Chairs Legend. I'm pretty sure I do have the Legend. It's a very, very nice chair. On mine, it is the white, red, and black one. It's got the silver here. I like the matte support at the back here. This is probably just to give you a bit of breathing up in here in case you're doing those long gaming sessions. And then that is it. We have the Doom aesthetic. We got the green and the red, and on the back, it looks pretty sick as well. But I'll just do a little bit more on this chair for some of those who aren't familiar with it. It does have your standard tilt lever on the back like this, goes down, or manual. It does have the auto tilt if you want, and then the armrests go forward and back, and then you have the in and out side, and of course they do go up and down. But I think that's pretty much it on this Pro Gamers Group booth. There were so many brands. It was the HAVN, the APNX, the Aerocool, the Ducky, the Endgame Gear, and this Noble chair I wanted to check out at the end. But anyway, like always, I want to thank you guys for watching. I want to thank Pro Gamers Group for supporting my Computex coverage, and we'll see you in the next one.